Hello, you beautiful comic people, you hot graphic novel folks, all you sexy comic readers, hunters and collectors. Behold, we have survived another year in a row that doesn't felt like the future we've been promised once. But even if 22 was not a nice year in terms of comics, it was a pretty fantastic one. So when I'm doing my best of the year list right now, it has to contain not less than 50 titles. Today I show you rank 50 up to 41 and the rest will follow in 4 subsequent videos. Basically like I have done it each year since I joined this little comic circus here. Before that, I have a quite substantial list of honorable mentions to share with you. First off, Doomsday Clock, the Absolute Edition, highly anticipated by yours truly, and a very complex, well-drawn tale, uneery timely in large parts. But eventually I lost patience towards the end of it. One strength of The Watchmen, in my opinion, is that there's only one character with superpowers. But Doomsday Clock is all about unleashing as many DC superheroes as possible into the Watchmen universe, or vice versa. Either I'm too dumb or the story is too clever. I guess I have to read it again and decide then if I will sell the book or keep it. Great comic, I guess, but so far just not for me, unfortunately. The new Swamp Thing series, written by Ram V, drawn by Mike Perkins, was a very enjoyable read until it was not anymore. Again, just chalk it up to my inability to cope with stories too far beyond any kind of plausibility. Due to the great success, it was extended from a 10 to a 16 issue run and eventually not for the better of the series, in my opinion, because in this season 2 we are introduced to new avatars of industry, of the cities, of radiation. Okay, the avatar of the industry is an illustrious villain, but overall it became just too silly for me. Lots of cool stuff in that series though. An Indian swampy, the way Ram V addresses these avatars as ideas, putting them in an almost pure metaphorical realm, but then obviously they have very real ramifications in our world. Anyhow. Totally different stuff that I enjoyed wholeheartedly are these books here, UK comics from the 60s, The Spider and the Steel Claw. I spoke about them in panellogy 479. Michel Vaillant by Jean Graton, very old school adventures about race competitions in the world of Formula 1. An all-time European classic, now collected in this very nice German edition. And then I want to quickly mention the truly wonderful adaptations of the Leatherstocking Tales by James Fenimore Cooper, done by George Ramayoli. The series is not finished yet. We still have to wait for the concluding 5th album, which was the final reason not to include it here in my top 50. But if you look for very classic, colorful, simple, straightforward, well-written Western adventures, you can't go wrong with Lederstrumpf, aka Leatherstockings, by George Ramayoli. Even longer it will take until this beautiful German edition of Lone Wolf and Cub will be finished. But boy, what a pleasure to have these classic mangas in oversized deluxe hardcovers. Really one reason why the comic year 2022 was actually a pretty great one. And last but not least, a little thingy that was published by the Latvian mini publisher Kush, DJ Goshi's World Tour by Harukichi. Goofy and light-hearted adventures all around the world of a DJ cat who likes to burn up a joint while saving the world with true vinyl power. Okay, let's start with the real top 50, with the actual proper top 50, and rank 50, of course. This is an odd one, I have to admit. Minnie Mouse. I mean, she's the uncoolest character in the House of Mouse by far. But this is such a charming book, drawn by the Swiss Kosei, which is the reason why I got it. Nobody can draw snow as Mr. Kosei. And it's a charming, nice, very atmospheric book. I really seldomly praise a comic with the adjective cute, but this book here is just cute, and it has even a recipe at the end, and it takes us into a winter wonderland, and look at just a page like this here. So I really, pardon me, but I had to include this fine comic here in my best of 2022 list right there. Then we have rank 49, and yeah, continuing with the odd ones. As you can imagine, in my list there will be a lot of odd stuff here. A kaiju, a pizza-loving kaiju. And this is the whole idea of this one-shot by Scout Comics, King Ghidorah, Hungry Like a Monster. Grab me, I'm a one-shot story. And just shows what you can do with a silly enough concept in one issue, one and done, and just a wonderful showcase of goofy cartooning here. And then we have more of this kind of stuff here in this vein. Heavy Metal Drummer by Behemoth, now Sumerian Comics. And yeah, if you look at the covers and think, no, they can't do this in the inside. Yes, they can do this in the inside as well. It's a heavy metal drummer possessed by alien beings, and there are cats involved. And if you love cats, maybe a bit too much, then this comic won't do anything for you, because here are the most in the story are the most horrific horror cats I've ever seen. Even if this simplified undergroundy style is more decorative than gruesome, I think. But yeah, wonderful little series. Hopefully continued. The story won't blow your socks off. I mean, it's really just a vehicle to showcase us all these stupid, colorful, horrific elements of the story. And here's what I meant with the cats. Okay, now you can try to unsee it. And we continue with something more harmless. And this is an old Euro comic here, Spaghetti. Spoke about it in an older video, Comics with Retro Power, look for it. And there I discuss this classic by Goscinny, the father of Asterix, and Dino Atanasio, an Italian with a very classic line. And you have to like old school cartooning like this here to get into the stories here. But this is right up my alley, and I'm looking forward for the next iterations of Spaghetti. Continuing our little journey through Europe, from Italy to the Netherlands. Here we have Martin Lodewijk's spoof on James Bond, Agent 327, Agent 327. And this book here was the album that came out this year. Taking a bit the holy grail of Dutch painting here, the Night Watch by old Rembrandt, as a MacGuffin for a very fun story. And this comic here really is for adults, I think. Adults who doesn't take their humor too seriously. It's sometimes very silly, but it's a bit beyond me why they published it in this Thunfisch line, which is actually, if I understood it correctly, Splitter's output for or outlet for children's comics, kids comics. This is not really for kids. Not for kids is actually a good cue to this book here, or yeah, at least not for little kids, so that who can be easily disturbed. This is a memoir of the childhood of Casanova Nobody Frankenstein, which is a good impression of how he thinks of himself, maybe almost a program. And he wrote his autobiography again and again. Obviously, he's very obsessive in trying to understand what shaped him, and trying to chase the demons of the past. And Glenn Pierce drew it, even though Casanova Nobody Frankenstein is a very accomplished artist for himself. But yeah, the cooperation between these two here worked very well. Glenn Pierce tries a lot of stuff here. And yeah, when you look at this here, this portrait of Mr. Frankenstein, you see that he's a pretty... I think he's a very friendly person, but he has learned to deal with his demons. And a very distant mother, an alcoholic father, all the bullies in school, and all these situations when you grow up and you were constantly bullied around. So this is not a fun read, but it's a really interesting take how you can make a really honest biography, and with the means of a graphic novel or comic. So, very interesting book. Yeah, and should I have to say it, that this is, of course, by Fantagraphics. Much more light-hearted, much more an easy read is this one here. My rank 44, Kamen Rider, the classic manga by Shotaro Ishinomori, the 50th anniversary edition. Quite frankly, I just saw this title here, and that the fact that this was one and done in one big chunk here, a silly enough premise about this motorcycle riding superhero guy, and lots of villains with insect heads. So it's just stupid fun and galore. I read the whole tome here, I guess, in one afternoon, which is a bit of a shame to fast feed yourself on these books here. But just to showcase that, or to show you that this really was a fun and easy read, and I enjoyed it immensely. Towards the end, it gets a bit repetitious, and I'm really glad that that they didn't include more of these Kamen Rider stories, but there are enough of cool monster designs and really good use of black and white and dynamics that I really love this book here. On rank 43, A Blast of the Past, Die Gentleman GmbH, Gli Aristocratici, by the Italian comic creator couple Alfredo Castelli and Ferdinando Tacconi. The latter drew these adventures around these gang of gentlemen gangsters with tricks and lots of clever details and plans that put James Bond to shame. Always loved these stories here, even though by flipping through these books here you can see that Tacconi had really one thing of drawing the faces always from the same angle, and once you realize that, it gets a bit to you, but otherwise this stuff here is really one of my favorite comics when I was growing up. Was reprinted in the Zack magazine, the German Tintin or Spirou, if you will. And somewhere there I encountered pt.1 as well, I guess. This is the first of a series of collected editions of pt.1, who is a boy on a pirate ship with the pirate called Hackepeter. I don't know how to translate this. It's a very anarchic pirate series, nice and entertaining, and I'm really glad that they now reprint all the stuff here, the material in the original coloring, with the original lettering, in a series of nice collected editions. From nice to not nice, not at all, and from old to something new. Spa by the Austrian new publisher, I guess they're pretty new, Luftschacht. Spa by Erik Swetoft, and this is a horror comic, and fantastically made book, by the way, here with these blood red edges of the book, even though it's a soft cover. But this is not for the faint of heart. It's about a couple that wants to make goes to a spa to have some nice holidays, but in their room there in the spa there are strange corpses lying around, and this is just the start of a really nightmarish trip into this vacation, honeymoon, paradise, hell. And I mean, this is really this is just the reason why I do this here as a series of videos, because I'm totally out of words in describing these pictures here, these visuals. So I'm very glad that you can take it in and decide for yourself if you're in for this kind of crazy trip. I really can recommend it. The only downside, obviously, is that this is just available in German. Okay, folks, this concludes my first video of 5 about the best comics of 2022, in my highly subjective opinion, of course. Opinions are always subjective, so yeah, however. Thanks for listening and watching. Goodbye.